You are now listening to the podcast for geeks and the stuff they love, where each week we'll talk about everything from anime to movies, games, and prop collecting with the people who create and love it. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Vince.
I'm James.
And this is your Geek Fix.
Okay, you ready?
We are ready.
Okay, here we go.
Ready.
So back in the day, when I was teaching still, there used to be at Halloween, I would always do this. The room would be empty.
We are the Ooh. Your efforts at education are over. We have overtaken your science building and will soon replace you with other students. We have taken down the Bronco board and replaced it with the Ooh board. Vending machine items will be replaced with gelatinous goo. Your credit hours will be erased, and the only job you will be able to get will be as a McDonald's manager. Not that there's anything wrong with
Not
that.
that there's anything wrong with that.
Your lives as you once knew them is soon over, and there is nothing you can do to stop it. Prepare for termination.
Detonation in 50, 59, 58,
That's some
57,
the budget you've got there, Jeremy.
Yeah, you've got actual room to record it.
And then I'd show up. Now at the same time, the accent wasn't so great at that point. The things you can't hear, as I say, it's a big County Downey thing.
We've got Doctor Who at home.
Yeah. So I would say, what wire should I pull? But you can't see it very well, but there's a big device that's lit up on the desk. I'm asking what I should pull. I'm trying to pull out different wires. None of it's working. Finally, I just start pulling everything out, and then it explodes.
Oh wow,
Wow.
that's some production value, man.
Yeah. So I was David Tennant's doctor when it came in, and then I regenerate to Matt Smith when I stand up.
Look at the quick custom change as well.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
There you go. So I'm going through it and I'm identifying all the typical Matt Smith stuff. Stu's to the front, even knew what lines to say and things. And then I'd become another doctor. I kept on regenerating and stuff.
That's cool.
It's bigger on the inside. Look. Look at that. It's huge. I can stick my hand all the way in and all the way in. Oh, check this out. Ready? Ready? There. And then wait. Oh, there. See? It's amazing. Are you not impressed?
Oh, you know him, Fred?
It's very Scottish of you.
Yeah, it was real David Tennant.
Where are you going? Not a very good companion, so.
Not a very good companion so far.
You should stay
Questions?
in
Yeah.
Quick.
Some more like Shrek.
I don't care.
I would watch Shrek as the Doctor.
I would watch Jeremy as Shrek.
I did get better with some of the accents, but at the same time,
We should recreate Shrek.
back in the day. So
That's great, man.
You know, this was a
Awesome.
diagnostics class, so people had to actually figure out how to diagnose certain things, and so I become the doctor. Which the first time I did it, a majority of people didn't even know, didn't watch Doctor Who or didn't know even who or what I was doing, which actually made it better. Because then they're trying to figure out whether or not I'm delusional or something like that. But at the same time, or
So
multiple
what
personalities,
mental disorder
or
is this?
what are we talking about? Yeah. And so,
Schizophrenia.
yeah. But at the
She's a
same
doctor.
time, it was a big production value. I did it every single year. This was one of the big things I would do is I'd do the big Doctor Who thing for Halloween because you shouldn't even be in class on Halloween. Was my thought. But on the flip side, recently, just over these holidays, we had 4 Doctor Who episodes that came out, 3 of which had David Tennant. And the way it ends, in case you haven't seen, have you guys seen at this point? Have you seen how it ends or what happened? So
I didn't
basically,
even
not
saw
to
it
now. If
begin.
you're watching it, to an extent, maybe I don't feel like I'm really doing any spoilers here, technically.
Okay.
Because I feel like it's out there enough and stuff like that. I don't feel like I am.
Still spoiler warning, I guess.
Yeah, we could do spoiler warning, maybe. The big thing is, because everyone knows who it was going to become eventually. Everyone knew that, David Tennant was just a temporary thing. The thing is that I still had to go back 20 times, and I looked online to figure it out. But there's still a conversation to be had here. Is what actually happens in this one at the end or not at the end, about halfway through the 3rd episode, is that David Tennant gets hit with a ray, and then it begins to regenerate and then stops. And then he asks for the 2 people that are with him to pull. Donna's with them, and as well as one of his old companions from way back in the day. It asks them to pull, and they pull him apart. And it's at that point that the doctor splits into 2 doctors. The new doctor, and then you have David Tennant's doctor. And the thing is, what I've been able to figure out is, and the part that I did like, because there's some things I didn't like. I feel like typical for the particular writer is that the first of these 3 episodes was a little heavy-handed in some of the political stuff. But on the flip side, the thing that's interesting is, and where this is going, is that basically David Tennant's doctor is the one that we've been following from the very, very beginning. So we have all these doctors, that are that doctor, and he's tired now. The reason why he became David Tennant again is because that's the 10th, right? 10th Doctor? 11th Doctor? 10th Doctor? 10th Doctor. I thought it was the 10th. Yeah. 10th Doctor. That's this other one right there. There's how quickly were you able to do that? That's pretty good.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah. I guess I have the wrong Sonic back here for that doctor. But at the same time, so here's the cool thing is that in the end, I thought, this will probably turn out the way it has in some other episodes. What happens is David Tennant and that doctor and all the other doctors that he is still alive and has his own TARDIS, gets his own TARDIS. It's his. He's still the doctor. He didn't lose any powers or anything else. He is the doctor. But basically, the doctor got tired and he's retired. And he's just having fun now. And now the new doctor is literally a new doctor from the scratch. So that means that David Tennant's doctor is still Doctor Who. And he has his own TARDIS.
That's a bit weird then.
What's that?
But then there, yeah, I mean, so basically Jodie Whittaker, or whatever her name was.
Jodie Whittaker is still part of this string of doctors, yeah.
Oh, okay. But
So
the new guy,
so she became David Tennant again. That was the end of the last series.
Yeah.
Is that basically all of a sudden she becomes David Tennant again. Nobody was expecting it. They were expecting her to turn into the new actor, and she didn't. And that he's like, what? And he's also drawn back to Donna, who was the Dr. Donna. There's some things with that I didn't like, but at the same time,
because her well, I guess another spoiler warning. Her brain was going to explode at some point.
Right.
Because
Which
she
they
remembered.
The way they resolved it was, I mean, half of it was kind of pretty good. Was the idea that because she had a child, that half of that energy went into the child. So that's why she was able to survive it and stuff. So then she still has, because she becomes Dr. Donna again.
Is
Briefly.
there anything done with the child plot, or is that just like part of the energies in that, and then that's over there?
That part's a little weird. You can watch it and you can see it, and that's that would be more of a spoiler alert, probably. Right. But at the same time, but at the same time, I guess I just like this idea that basically what they try to do, regardless of what your feelings are about Doctor Who at this point in time, is that they try to preserve the original string of doctors and that theme separately. and literally now, I mean, like at the very end, even he's joking with, because now he's part of Donna's family too. He like hangs out with them and stuff, and now he doesn't have to take off anymore and things. But at the same time, he's going to Jupiter and stuff to just go play jokes, or he's going to, he's going on adventures rather than having to save the world or feel mad about things.
What was the reasoning behind it then? Because we got.
Well, you remember. So here's the thing: is when. I had a theory about this.
Now you got Nkuti Gatwa, right? That's the new guy.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So how does it change for him then?
Well, so
like a soft
basically,
reboot, isn't it?
What's that?
It's like a soft reboot. It's not a whole reboot of the franchise. It's just like
it's kind of like it's a soft reboot. It's basically like he has all the previous Doctors' technically history within him. But he isn't carrying supposedly their baggage, is the idea.
Oh, okay.
And
so they're retconning the political stuff then, I guess.
It felt like that kind of, yeah, that kind of like kicked up a little bit inside of these. But on the flip side, I guess the flip side idea is this. There's three things I can think of on this. Is one, you're saying it would allow them, if they wanted to, at any point in time, they could pop back, not necessarily just jump with David Tennant, but they could do Adventures Just for Adventures again. They could do, they could do a spinoff. They could also have him become another Doctor actually at this point, because he's still a Doctor, so he can still regenerate. He's still whatever. But
I feel it's like, obviously, in my case, it's been a while since I've actually properly watched Doctor Who. Like, the last Doctor that I watched was Matt Smith. But I feel like, unless I'm completely mistaken with Peter Capaldi, no, it's not. What was it? Peter?
Yeah,
oh, Peter.
I think it's Capaldi,
I know
right?
who you're talking about.
I thought it was Capaldi, wasn't it? It was Peter Capaldi.
Yeah, Capaldi. Peter Capaldi.
And then, obviously, with Judy.
Jodie Whittaker.
Like, as I say, I don't know exactly what their stories are, but I feel that the Doctor wanting to retire is completely against what his character was.
Well, so here's where, and like you said, I have a theory about this. So you remember how they got rid of David Tennant?
Yeah.
So just before, I think that this was the plan, was near the end, they kind of made him, it was hard to, he didn't feel like he
of leaving.
He was kind of like, he became bitter and stuff. They made him intentionally, and I think that was to try and make it easier for the audience to then be like, yeah, we're ready to move on too, kind of thing. They knew that it would be hard to let go of David Tennant, and so I think that's what happened, because it felt very intentional the way that they wrote those last few episodes. And at the very end, even, you remember that he's like, when the Ood are coming to him and everything else, he's, and he got the sunglasses and things, and he shows up, he's refusing to go to do the next thing he knows is going to lead to his death and stuff, and he's basically flipping off the world and everything else. He's like, I don't really care anymore.
Wasn't that the War Doctor then? That was the whole War Doctor arc that he got redeemed after that, right?
Well, so that's it. That's like and that Doctor doesn't technically play into the number Doctors, right? No. He's like, he fits in.
He's a tangent Doctor,
and that happened after the David Tennant stuff. So technically, remember, David Tennant's like, he doesn't even know what's going to happen to him. Wow. When he meets inside that Doctor series, which is a historical. There's some things that are also kind of hard to address because or always have been a little off, which is going way back in time. So back with the very first series of Doctors is that, they came up with the idea of doing these episodes where he had multiple Doctors in them, including having an actor that looked like the first Doctor and stuff come in. They would do these. They did it twice before David Tennant and Matt Smith did the War Doctor one. But outside of those, what the hard thing was that whenever they did those, they had to then correct for something that they would always say, which is you can't have two Doctors in the same universe. You can't have them existing at the same time because it would do all these crazy things. But then they'd always be like, well, it's because of this and that, and then they'd make it work somehow. And then,
bullshit.
And so with this one, this more recent one where they split out from each other, he's like, how does this work and stuff? And it's like, well, because it's technically part of him, but it's not him, and it's not really, he's like new and he's a different thing, and that's how they can both coexist inside the same universe.
I think the technical term for it is Deus Ex Machina, because the story wants it to advance in that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't want to get into that part, but at the same time,
I don't understand him getting his own TARDIS either, because I thought the TARDIS was supposed to be like a living being, unless that's also split in two somehow, because apparently
okay. Let me see. Can I tell you this without? This part isn't really. So they do bring back. This is another thing that happened that's kind of important is when Jodie Whittaker's Doctor came along, the plan was we're going to scrap everything that was Doctor Who. Literally, they said that. I mean, that was the idea. Also, it goes actually back to Matt Smith. They were like, well, let's find a way, because it feels like now all we have is just constantly the Daleks, the Cybermen, and stuff like that. It feels like we're getting into this thing. So let's make it where we erase all their memory. Let's make it where we make it where they don't whatever. And they did that. They went through and they made it so the Daleks, for example, didn't know who the Doctor was anymore and stuff. And they did.
But
they
there
did
was
several
still
pieces.
the Daleks and still the Cybermen.
Yeah,
after a million times again.
But they said we don't want to keep bringing back old monsters anymore, and we don't really want to do the traditional Doctor Who, which is the traditional Doctor Who is let's go to completely different places all the time. I mean, that was the adventure. Instead, let's make this, let's do it about history and education, and we're gonna go to 3 kind of heavy level things right off the bat and stuff.
Yeah.
And so and that was and people didn't like it. And they got a lot of feedback, so they decided to change that idea.
Yeah, Rick and Morty did it better.
Yeah. But at the same time, they in these 3 episodes, right off the bat, they bring back some really old villains.
Monsters and
so
stuff.
They bring back the Toymaker instead of this in the 3rd episode.
Which apparently was super racist and had to be retconned, and people were offended about it.
In the original one or the current one?
Well, both apparently. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, because he has kind of a Hitler-esque.
No, the thing was apparently Celestial was a racial slur for Asian people.
Oh, really?
Because they came from the Celestial Kingdom, and that's how people in some regions of the planet called it.
They use that in the Marvel universe too, Celestial.
But some people on Twitter got offended about it because the Toymaker had a bit of Oriental, or I'm not sure if you're allowed to say that.
In the old show. Well, it was also not played by. It was played by a white guy too. So
now it's Doobie Howser, right?
Yeah, that's exactly who it is. Yeah, who used to actually message me. I got messages on my phone still from him.
I
but at the same time,
with Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah. That's who it was. That's who plays it. And he plays it with a bad accent, but they counter for that. They're like, yeah, because it's not supposed to be his accent. Like he goes back and forth and things. It was actually not bad in the end. I thought it was just pretty well done. But on the flip side, where was I going with all? Oh, yeah. But at the same time, I mean, yeah, so they bring back this old villain and stuff. But the whole idea behind these 3 episodes is the idea that when we last saw David Tennant's Doctor, and and the Dr. Donna thing and everything else happened, like he was starting to struggle with feeling like this is worth it and everything else, and he was starting to and he was getting burnt out is essentially it. And the whole idea is, and they're trying to tie in even like the Peter Capaldi situation is, you remember with him, he kept on being like, why do I have this old face, like what, which was supposed to be also referring back to when he was Caesar. Because Peter Capaldi also played Caesar in one of the episodes. So he's like, why am I this guy? Like, and the whole idea is that basically he started going through almost like a midlife crisis. The doctors did, and that's why all these things have happened across this time. And they also talk about like
now he's cloned himself so he can start anew. It's like,
I mean, well, and the idea that too, like he keeps running because he's been running this entire time. Throughout from the very beginning. I mean, the very first episodes, truly, like he stole the TARDIS. Yeah. So the original Doctor, he had stolen the TARDIS, and and it kind of went from there. and then he broke it, and that's why it's always it looks like a
it
police
wasn't a
box
phone booth
and stuff.
initially, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly,
well,
yeah.
it was a fireplace at one point.
Yeah,
Stuff. But like the first episodes, it would be something different every time, and then they just decided to make it the phone booth. But yeah, so he, the idea is that he's been running from his responsibilities, he's been running from everything else and stuff, and because of this running from things too, he keeps losing people, and so the toy maker does a little marionette thing where he shows how each person dies, and then the doctor responds by saying, yeah, but she's preserved in time through this thing, and he's like, oh, well, then it's okay. He gets stuff. He's like, then this person died. Yeah. He's like, well, technically though, she this and that, and so yeah, so that's
it's a
the
bit of a
idea.
commentary on what happened for the past few years.
It kind of wraps. They're trying to wrap up everything and say, so this is where, from the beginning to now, this is where that doctor is, and now he's literally okay, and he's part of a family now, and he's sticking in one place, but he's having adventures and so on and so forth. But going back to how did he get his own TARDIS? Literally, the toy maker, you get a wish if you beat the toy maker.
Okay.
And the wish that the new doctor makes is that there would be 2 TARDISes. And so he goes outside the TARDIS, he hits it with a hammer, it splits into 2 TARDISes that have the same interior.
So I have
boom.
Now you have the
now you got your own TARDIS. Yep. It felt a little bit last second.
Yeah.
But going back to your comment about him trying to have a family life and such, again, spoiler warning, but from ages ago, they already did that with David Tennant though.
Well, you mean when so which is actually
yeah.
Well, yeah.
No.
He became he actually became a teacher. So there was an episode where that was Matt Smith, wasn't it?
No.
Oh no, it was David Tennant.
I don't mean that. I mean at the end of season 4, because he in
where he has the 3
when
kids.
He started, his hand was cut off by the
the
thing,
girl,
and then
the
grows
child
into that. So he already had a double of him, which wasn't a doctor; it was just a normal human. But they'd already done that ending. They already said,
but we've had more than that. So you got that one. He's had his own kids before, which he mentions several times. I mean, he's had kids and grandkids going back to the very beginning. He's had multiple kids.
We are all
and then you also have his daughter. You remember the daughter?
Yeah, I remember the daughter in the war episode with the.
I thought that they would do something with that at some point in time, they'd have her come back or do a spinoff. That didn't happen.
At an infinite timeline, Doctor Who has banged all of our moms. That's the thing.
There you go.
It's really doing it.
It's a multiverse. Thanks for that image. Yeah.
So we're all sons and daughters of the Doctor.
That's right. He does. He has a lot of kids that have been out there.
Yeah.
But that one would be still alive because she had the energy to she can regenerate and everything else. But on the flip side, I mean, now it's not his family, but he's basically settling in and making that his
retirement
staying
family.
Place. So
all right, yeah.
But
so
I don't know.
So it's more about the family you choose than the family you got, something like that.
Yeah, well, and it raises questions. So there is a movie in the works, and we know that it doesn't involve the new Doctor.
It doesn't, or does?
It doesn't.
It doesn't look very good.
So is that because of this? Is it something else? Are they going from the scratch? Because they talked about that in the past of going back to the prequel, because people forgot the story, the initial story, even though they try to remind people of it now and then. What will that look like?
They keep on retconning everything, and I think it's good that they wrap a bow around it and say this is the messy part of Doctor Who, where we did the new reboot with Angry Doctor, I forgot his name, and Rose, and then then it became softer, then it got weird, then it got even weirder, and now we're going to say, well, instead of Doctor Weird, we're going back to Doctor Who. And then this is where we're going to start off again.
I will say I didn't mind the first episode. I watched just the other night, I watched the first, which I haven't watched Doctor Who. I didn't watch the majority of Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who, because the first season that she had, the first few episodes kind of burnt me out a little bit. I tried to hang in there, but I couldn't. But his first episode reminds me of the old Doctor Who's. Like, it's a new set of monsters, things like that. To a certain extent, there's some things that are a little hokey, but at the same time, I don't like his screwdriver. His sonic screwdriver looks more like an iPad or something. It's like flat and like triangular-ish.
In the new one, or
it looks like a remote control. I don't know.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
He says it's a screwdriver, and everyone's like, I don't know. But anyway, but at the same time,
like the drink.
I thought it was okay. I'll probably watch another one. I'll probably stay with it a little bit and see how it goes. But I am curious. I am curious where they're going with some things. So.
Oh yeah, no, I'm seeing it now. It doesn't look right.
No, right? It's like, and what's weird about this one too is when they split out, they didn't spend. Typically, which I guess they didn't have to do this time. Typically, there's an episode. The first episode is to show the adjustment of the Doctor of kind of figuring out who he is and what taste. Matt Smith's Doctor did that one the best. Like what do I like for food, and what clothes am I going to wear, and stuff like that. Stuff, yeah, like making themselves. He basically pops out and he's just like, "Yep, I'm me, and I'm unique, and I'm new, and this is the first time I'm being me for the first time, and
congratulations,
and already knows everything he likes and doesn't like." So it's kind of just right off the bat, like. It went a little too fast for me. So, like, in the next episode, he's like, here's all the stuff I invented. And they're like, well, wait a minute, why'd you do that? I thought you went straight from the last place to this place.
Maybe that's also the dimensionality of the character of the Doctor, that he is kooky and he is doing extraordinary things. So going too fast might just be his lesson to learn, so to say, going forward.
Maybe. Yeah. I'm okay with it if they do what Doctor Who should have been like it was back in the day, where it's like he just shows up at places and things happen and whatever and stuff.
So they're going for a more episodic kind of thing then, that all episodes are standalone now.
Yeah, no more carrying arcs.
That's
I
a
think
shame,
any
though.
show, when you start having arcs, we see this with anime particularly. Anytime you start having arcs, it's like, I can't hang in here for this.
Well, it depends.
I'm getting tired.
It depends if you have a lot of filler episodes to keep the arc going or not, or the actual season is the whole arc.
Right.
That's different. Like I know, for example, X-Files had the Monster of the Week kind of stuff, which you could just skip and go to the mythology arc. But Stargate has some pretty good arcs that went places.
That's actually true. Yeah.
Going back to Vince's comment before, like just having mentioned Rick and Morty, like I know that they also want to go back to. I feel that they want to go back to the episodic because they started doing the arcs, and I feel that was so much pressure on them, like constantly getting or wanting information on certain characters or certain things, and just enjoy the show like episode by episode.
And it wasn't a comedy anymore. People,
exactly.
They were getting too heavy and too deep, and
the last episodes have been pretty dire, especially like they're fun, but they cross a line in some places, which is cool. But also with the new actors, they're still being
Squanchy
present,
needs to be off the series now, I think.
But then again, I mean, it's all entertainment. We all enjoy it. I might just gonna rewatch Woo from when I stopped and see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to see that at least the brand itself, or the lore, is alive and well and going places. And I mean, we'll see.
I am curious for people who their favorite Doctor is. There's also, there is another Doctor that we never even talked about there. I'm not going to talk about now, but just to put it out there to people, there was a separate movie that was made that was called Doctor Who. And it's the only time where the Doctor refers to himself as Doctor Who.
Okay.
Throughout it. Yeah, that's not his name in any other part of the series. Like, nobody even refers to him
my
as
name
that.
is Doctor Who.
But he actually calls himself, my name's Doctor Who. Yeah, he introduces himself and things.
But you also
kind of
noticed
like a Christmas special, I think. I don't remember.
But you also noticed then when Doctor Who became big in America, like the tonal shift in the episodes, like from a slow burn kind of intellectual stuff to all explosions and rushing through all these things. That really happened as well. But did you guys also see like the spin-offs like Torchwood and
I watched Torchwood to completion. Torchwood was good.
Yeah,
there was
another one
Sarah
as well.
Jane got a little weird, but before she passed away and stuff. But I mean, like, those are all good shows.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the Torchwood actors was upset that they didn't mention him in in a recent.
Jack Harkness, right?
Yeah. I was mad that they didn't bring him up in their anniversary.
But that's the thing. I mean, Doctor Who has a lot of behind-the-scenes politics, a lot of interpersonal conflict inside and outside of the show, which makes it great. I also was surprised a bit how prevalent Doctor Who was in the US before actually getting the reboot, because it never
for
struck
people
me.
my generation, like the original Doctor Who was aired here when it was aired through the BBC in England. So I remember being raised on all the original Doctors
Before America became a separate colony.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's how
I remember
old
watching Doctor Who in black and white.
Appreciate it. Yeah. So I was around Tom. What's
Tom
Tom's
Baker.
last name? Tom Baker's era. He was my favorite Doctor.
I could get that. Yeah, he's an
back
uncle
then.
dude.
Yeah, I think I even one Halloween I actually had the scarf and things like that.
Oh, nice.
I think I went as him. So yeah. And that was K9 era too.
Oh yeah.
You know, K9 was introduced and everything. I mean that was my time.
Was your jam?
So,
I started watching.
If you,
Sure.
I was going to say, go for it.
So I started watching Doctor Who on the plane to England while I was going for a job, because I thought that would be the most British thing to do.
Oh, really? That was your first introduction? So that was as an adult then? Was that the first time you saw it was as an adult?
I was pretty late on Doctor Who. Like, it was already out for 2 seasons, I believe, but then we started watching it, and I love the same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy, like the eldritch space kind of things, like with the weird mystical aliens and all that. I really love that kind of stuff. That was totally my jam, especially with the face, like the lady with the stretched out face.
Cassandra.
And the big.
That wasn't her face. That was her whole
that
self.
was her. Yeah.
Right.
And then also the face of Oob or something, or whatever was the
Face of Boa.
Face of Bo. Yeah. Which is the future version of
exactly
of the character. Yeah. So a lot of the characters you get to know beginning to later. Yeah. No. If anyone hasn't watched that by now, they're probably not going to figure it out later.
No, but it's fun, and same with the classic movies. I'll try to rewatch Who from at least from where I stopped with Peter Capaldi, and then see where it goes from there.
If I'm guessing people out there have their favorite Doctor. If you want to leave it in the comments, let us know who was your favorite Doctor. How did you get introduced to Doctor Who, and are you watching it now or have you checked out? Let us know.
Who's your doctor,
in the comments
and what
below.
does he do?
If you've enjoyed this podcast and want more, stay tuned for that, but also check out our channel, join the community on YouTube that goes by the same name, Your Geek Fix. Be sure to check out Vinz on Twitter at massivedmg_ and on his YouTube channel, massivedmg. Check out James at Mr. Malto4 on Instagram and the Replica Prop Forum. We also want to hear from you, so be sure to send your questions, stories, and other projects to yourgeekfix@gmail.com. In the meantime, this has been Your Geek Fix.